very quickly. I know that we're going to have a very interesting and robust conversation today. I just hope that everyone will be professional and respectful, including in the chat. Just a reminder that this is public record and anyone has access to it, including the chats, and that this is being recorded and can be played for later viewing. That being said, I'll begin roll call for today, Saturday, May 1st, 2021. Yvette Walker. Yvette Walker.
Yep. Please mute too for those
Yes, sorry.
on the
Here.
call.
Great. Rafael Almeida.
Here.
Bailene Shaw. Claire Regan.
Here.
Lauren Barlett.
Here.
Did I say that right, Lauren? I tried to, my best.
Still not quite. Yeah, it's Bartlett.
Bartlett.
Emphasis on the first syllable.
Okay. Thank you. Jerry McCormick.
Here.
Rebecca Aguilar.
Here.
Yvette W. Richards present. And Matt Hall.
Here.
Okay, I hand back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And a quick matter of business before we move on. I'd entertain a motion on the minutes of April 17th.
I would move approval with the amendment that I sent to the board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Lauren, seconded by Yvette. All those in any discussion? I know there's an amendment on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And we will move to our one item of business. I'm going to make a brief statement, kind of setting up the public comment period. Thanks everyone for joining us today. This is the third meeting that the board has held since February to discuss our 2021 convention as we monitor COVID-19 conditions on the ground in New Orleans and across the US. And the entire process has been as inclusive, open, and transparent as possible, and mostly civil. The vast majority of your feedback has been valuable and appreciated. Every SPJ member received 2 email surveys in February and April, and this week I asked every pro chapter president to solicit and share opinions from their respective boards. I asked, should SPJ plan for a convention that is entirely virtual or hybrid with an in-person component? And should SPJ require convention attendees to be vaccinated with exemptions as permitted by law? The unscientific results, which I've shared with the board from some of our most active members all over the country, 19 boards or their presidents prefer hybrid, 2 virtual, and 5 others were split. The tally on vaccination requirements was 12-3 in favor of them. So here we are. Our 2 earlier meetings were an open session, as today's is starting. But today, so as not to jeopardize our negotiating position or our relationship with a convention partner, the board will discuss our hotel contract and financial issues related to it in closed session. Before we go into closed session, I'm going to start with public comment, as I said, and allow anyone in the audience who wants to speak to do so. Because there are a lot of people on the call, some of whom have timing issues, and because this is our 3rd meeting on this subject, as I'm allowed by SPJ board policy, I'm going to limit public speakers to 1 minute each. When the board is done with executive session, we will email everyone on the call a 5-minute warning that we will be returning to open session for a potential vote. Lastly, I ask that the conversation among SPJ and board members be civil, and I reserve the right to interrupt anyone who makes personal attacks. We will not stand for those today. We're all on the same team. The board will ultimately make a decision, weigh in health, safety, legal, and financial issues, and we will plan a convention either way, the best that we can plan it. With that said, I am now going to go to comment from the audience, and I will take those who want to speak in the order within which they raise their hand. I see Narissa Young first, and then Jonathan Make second. Hillary, you can be third.
Thank you so much. I hope the board members got the email that I sent a couple days after the previous meeting. I do have a question and then a request. The question is to John about how much we would lose in terms of the trade show. And the request is that John's recommendation on where the gap would be filled if we forfeit the contract be shared with those of us on this call, because that was brought up in open session 2 weeks ago. And I think those who are here, I understand contract negotiations being an executive session, but where the shortfall will be covered, I think should be an open session to conform to how the board had that discussion 2 weeks ago. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marissa. And I'll just say, I'll let John answer your question, but I will say that on attorney's advice, the discussion is taking place in closed session on the financial implications because they are related to a contract. John.
To answer the question on the trade show, it's unclear what we would, if we would lose or gain either format. So we'd just sell it differently based on what the experience is. If we were hybrid, we would have both a virtual and a component where trade show participants could show up in person. And then if it was all virtual, we'd try to attempt something that was all virtual as well, as far as a trade show is concerned. And there's some models of that we could probably learn from. So Matt, did you want me then not to speak more about the other issue?
No, I'd prefer we follow our attorney's advice. Jonathan.
Okay, hello. Thanks for doing this. I agree the process has been transparent. Just have a quick statement to read from a number of individuals. We, local and regional SPJ leaders, call on the national board to support holding hybrid conferences. We think that that a good way to start this would be with the upcoming national conference. We also think that the hybrid conference model will have relevance even after the pandemic, and we think that it might help SPJ to appeal to an even wider and more diverse array of journalists. I'm cutting off some of this in the sake of time. Our group of local and regional SPJ leaders pledges to do our part to help hybrid conferences be successful. Some members of our group would attend in person while others would attend remotely, and we are hoping to do an event or session of our own at that conference. And this is signed by Sue Copen-Katzif, Catherine Jones, Andy Schatz, Gail Reeves, Frederick Melt.
Jonathan.
Okay, signed by a number of other individuals.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the board has that statement. Hillary.
Hi, thank you. This is actually a question, an observation about the website and access to the board materials. I noticed a while ago that there doesn't seem to be a way to navigate through the menu on the website to get to the board meetings page. I just happen to know what the board meeting page URL is, but I haven't been able to find a way on the website to navigate to it. So that might be helpful for other members. And also curious, I don't see the archived board materials and recordings, and I was wondering how to access those.
They are there. I will put a link in the chat, and I will investigate the navigation issues you identify. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Sure thing, thank you.
Randy Shostak. Thank you, Hillary.
Yes, hi, this is Randy Shostak. I'm the president of the SPJ DC Pro chapter, and I have a statement approved by the board that I'd like to read, if that's okay.
You have 60 seconds.
The Washington, D.C. Professional Chapter of SPJ urges the National SPJ Board to reverse its current course and return to planning for a hybrid conference in New Orleans in September. Our chapter is deeply concerned about the financial ramifications of the board's pending final decision to change the SPJ National Conference in New Orleans from a hybrid event to an all-virtual meeting. This decision would leave SPJ facing a penalty of up to $157,000 for canceling its hotel contract, an amount that could dramatically impact our organization's operations, plans, and aspirations. It is not necessary for the board to decide at this time about holding a virtual conference. By delaying a decision and proceeding as originally planned, the board will reduce its overall risk by having more information on its choices and being in a better position to discuss options with the hotel should a change be necessary. The board is also likely to have more insight into the risks posed by COVID and whether a change is needed. For example, if the health risk increases, health authorities may curb travel in large gatherings, a situation in which SPJ is unlikely to face a penalty for going virtual. If the risks to health continue to decline, SPJ may be able to proceed more confidently and offer members, especially those unable to travel to meetings outside of New Orleans, an opportunity to connect with and learn from each other. Finally, the Washington, D.C. Pro Chapter therefore urges the National Board to vote on May 1 to.
I appreciate your speed. And for the record, the board has received that. And so we are aware of the DC chapter's position. And I appreciate you understanding the time limit.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? I don't see a hand. Let me zip over to a second screen here.
I've had my,
Okay,
Matt.
I'm gonna go.
Matt, just so you know,
Alex,
many of us have raised our hands virtually. I don't know if you're seeing those.
Thank you. I'm gonna go Robert Becker, Alex, Robert Buckman, and Irwin.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Becker first. Becker first, Robert.
My which?
You're double on deck. Use a baseball analogy. Robert Becker and then Alex Tarquinio, please.
I don't see what I'm supposed to do here. Go ahead.
We'll come back to you.
Okay. I have written to you twice, so I won't rehash that. But since you met last, events have passed you by. CDC has issued guidance for opening schools in the fall, which means starting in mid-August for all large cities and everywhere else. And New York City has said it is going to reopen by July. Maryland is reopening. All of the states are starting to reopen. And that puts the hotel in a not very interested in negotiating position. If things change and it gets worse, that's going to change. But right now, it was a waste. It will be a waste of money, a large waste of money. And if you do that, I, for one, will find ways to donate to the foundation that will not put money available to this board. Because
thank you, Robert.
If you're going to waste money, not going to do it. Thanks.
Alex.
Yes, and thank you, Matt. I do have some very specific comments to make about the finances. I think the board did an excellent job 2 weeks ago of weighing the implications of the pandemic. Today, they've said they're going to discuss financial implications. And for the record, I don't know that I can do this in 1 minute because I'm in a unique position. Not only am I past national president, but I was on the conference planning committee for the past 3 in-person conferences in 2017, 18, and 19. So yesterday I dug through my notes and dug up all those contracts for audiovisual, hotels, profit and loss statements. I'm not going to reveal confidential contract materials, but I did this to come up with the types of questions I think the board should ask in their deliberations in executive session. And if the board does this and is fully informed, I have complete confidence that whichever way it votes when it comes out of executive session will be in the best interest of SPJ and will minimize any potential financial risks. First question.
Thank you, Alex. That's
no,
1 minute.
No. You did not advertise 1 minute in advance.
I ask that you abide by the policy as everyone else.
Last 3 in-person conferences.
John, can you please cut Alex's mic?
Matt, can we give her, I mean, out of respect for a former president,
I understand. Believe me, this is a difficult position that I'm in, but I cut off Randy as he was saying in conclusion, and I cut off Jonathan as he was saying names on his letter. So I feel it's fair to all that we treat everyone the same. Alex, if you'd like to send us an email, please do that.
Alex, can you do that? Please send me that email with the documentation, please. I'd like to see it, especially since I'm going to go into executive session.
Please send it to the board via email. Robert.
Can you hear me?
We can. You have 1 minute.
Okay. I see that I'm the only representative for my chapter here. We voted yesterday, the board did, 5-0 in favor of hybrid. At the time the decision was that you folks made that decision, the situation was more dire than it is now. And by September, a lot of people are confident that with masks, with vaccination, we can have a successful and safe convention. The thing that you want to avoid with this all virtual, you lose the interactivity among the members that I think is really one of the most valuable aspects of our conventions. And I really missed that last year. And I would like to see it come back this year. That seems to be the consensus in our chapter. I went along with the idea of requiring vaccinations. I ran into immediate opposition from one of the board members who is
That's 1 minute, Robert.
vaccinated.
Robert, that's 1 minute. Thank you very much
Okay.
for that statement. Erwin.
Yeah, I'm probably going to just basically pick up where Robert just left off. You know, our staff does absolutely wonderful work, but, you know, it is the members who make SPJ what it is, give it direction. Rebecca, as you know, through your work on the diversity committee, it's SPJ members that make things happen. And I know I speak for many folks who, in saying that the convention energizes us, helps us make those personal connections, as Robert was talking, and really makes the society go. We did miss that last year through no fault of anyone's. We do have a different choice this year, I think. So I would urge you, as you consider things today, to seriously consider reversing your decision 2 weeks ago and going for a hybrid convention. And that's it.
Thank
Matt.
you. Thank you, Erwin. I appreciate you keeping it to a minute. Patty Newberry.
Thank you. I see the value of both sides on this discussion. My biggest concern is the quality of the in-person aspect if we go hybrid. I heard at the last meeting that many of the guests for panels and speaking roles are saying that they believe they will stay hybrid, they will stay virtual. And that concerns me a lot. So while I absolutely love seeing everybody again in person, meaning fellow members and staff, one of the big draws for me for coming to a convention, and I think for many of our members, is the chance to see journalists, important journalists, making contributions in person. So I do hope, as whatever the decision is, if there is an in-person element, that all efforts be made to convince at least some of our speakers and some of our events to be in-person events. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Hagit, you have 1 minute, please.
I would not mind sitting in a room with my friends, watching virtual guests and speakers. I've done it before at other SPJ conventions, and it would be worth everything that has been brought up by previous speakers. Just one thing, a virtual convention is just one way. A hybrid convention allows everyone who only wants to attend virtually do so. It also allows other people to attend in person. I don't understand why you would not give both choices so that all members can participate how they want. And I know that there's been talk about that the surveys weren't representative of the membership. I don't know. I've heard from very, very few people who just want virtual. The vast majority of everyone. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Hazel Becker and then Sunny Alvarado.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I know for the freelance panels that have been proposed that at least 2 or 3 of them, and there were 6, I believe, would have some live speakers. They need to be hybrid though. The panels need to be hybrid because we have some speakers who won't come anyway. So I just want to say it's not a given that speakers won't come to New Orleans in September. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel. Sunny.
Yes, thank you, Matt and board. I'm not going to repeat everything that others said so far because I think those are the correct estimates on or positions that or considerations rather that should be taken, but for me, this has always been about financial fiduciary responsibility of the board. That's the key for me. And that's what I hope the board will take into most consideration when it goes into executive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. Does anyone else want to speak who hasn't? I'm not seeing any other hands. Going once. Israel, you're on the clock, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, board, for taking on this difficult challenge. I think I speak as a professor who many students might attend at such an event, as a former journalist who has attended these conferences, and just as a person from the outside looking in. I think there's a saying, to whom much is given, much is required. Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think our country needs leadership to show what is the best way forward. And I think things that are happening today in India, things that are still happening within the Hispanic community, show that, going forward slowly is going to be the best way for all of the public. And I think the public needs to see that we as journalists are adhering to both the science, the data, and to a larger extent, the safety and health and well-being of the community. I think money is important, but at the end of the day, a life cannot be bought. Thank you.
That's 1 minute, Israel. Thank you very much. Anyone else want an opportunity to speak? Lauren, I'm going to go to members of the public and have a board conversation in closed session.
All right,
unless you have a point.
I've got the motion for executive session ready to go.
Okay.
When you're ready.
I will entertain that motion, and I do want to appreciate everyone's comment today, and for those who the 1 minute limitation was difficult, and I really do appreciate you all meeting that. Many of your comments have been surfaced in board emails earlier, so I also want to make that clear. And Lauren, I will entertain that motion.
Okay, I move that we go into executive session and include relevant staff, our attorney, and the president and vice president of the foundation, Erwin Gratz and Hagit Limor, because there's a financial connection between the foundation and our board.
Do I have a second?
I have a question. So if we're including Hagit, can we include Alex? So she was also part of the planning committee before.
I'm talking about the president and vice president of the foundation board.
Okay.
In those roles.
Matt, I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Lauren, second by Raphael. To be clear, Lauren, did your motion include Katie Riggs?
Yes, I said John and relevant staff, however John deems appropriate from the staff. So that includes Katie, yes.
Okay.
And John. And anybody else that John deems appropriate.
That'd be Katie, Karen, Jake, and myself.
Okay, my motion includes Katie, Karen, Jake, and John.
So we're all clear on who would join us. Raphael.
In this, is there an ability for us to ask people to, okay, now that we've considered your input, you can leave now? I mean, once you make a motion that includes them in there, they're there the whole time, no?
Say that again. Are you asking if members of staff and
the foundation board
need to be there for the whole conversation?
Right. Do we continue to have the authority to have them leave? Otherwise, we just go into the executive.
Yes, we do. My only request is that the attorney be there the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point. Thank you, Raphael, for making that point publicly. Okay, we have a motion from Lauren with the name so mentioned and a second from Raphael. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Was there any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries unanimously. I will excuse those who were here. Thank you once again. And again, let you know, watch your email. We will send you a 5-minute warning when we're coming out of closed session. Thank you very much. Okay, we're recording. Why don't we take roll just to make sure everyone's here?
Okay, the roll call is just to make sure everyone's here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yvette Walker.
Here.
Bailey Shaw.
Here.
Claire Regan,
Here.
Lauren Bartlett,
Here.
Jerry McCormick,
Here.
Rebecca Aguilar,
Here.
Yvette Davila Richards. For the record, Rebecca says she's present. Yvette Davila present. Rafael Olmeda.
He's waving.
Okay,
He's here.
muted. Okay, and Matt Hall.
I'm here as well.
Okay.
I would ask any board member who would like to make a motion, please do that.
I'm sorry. Now you know why I muted. Matt, I did not hear you. I apologize.
Any board member who would like to make a motion, please do so.
I would like to. As soon as I silence this puppy. Excuse me a moment. I bet everybody knows exactly what I just said. I would like to move at this time that the board authorize the staff to resume preparations and negotiations for a hybrid conference for 2021, continuing to monitor the pandemic and preparing to pivot to all virtual should future circumstances warrant.
I'd like to second the motion.
A motion and a second. Now I'm going to give any board member who would like to talk 2 or 3 minutes to make a comment. And I'm going to start alphabetically and close with the 3 officers. So Lauren, you're on the clock.
Thank you, Matt. I'll keep my comments very brief because I would essentially be reiterating what I said in the past. I think that the hybrid model is the best solution for us. And I think that as the public health situation evolves and things are opening up more and more, it gives people who want to attend the opportunity to go. It also gives anyone who doesn't feel safe going the opportunity to attend virtually. I believe that the presentation we got at the last meeting from Katie and John really laid out what I think is going to be a really great conference. And I'm going to say one last thing, and I know that others are going to speak to this. I very much appreciate the passion of the members of this organization. People who have known me for a long time know that I feel very passionately about issues. But one of the things that I think is really important for people to remember, it's important to limit our comments to the issue. And we should be speaking about the issues, arguments for, against issues, and not be making anything personal.
Thank you, Lauren. Next, we're testing my Dewey Decimal System skills here, is Jerry McCormick.
I just want to say that this decision was not reached lightly, and we had a very spirited and lively debate about what we should do, and know that each one of us has the best interests of the organization at heart. But I will say this, I do not respond well to bullying, and I never will respond well to bullying. And those of you who attempted to harass and bully, not a good look. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Rafael Almeida.
On the bright side, you didn't hear my dog. A year ago, I was on the opposite side of this kind of controversy. I was confronting a board that had made a decision that I thought was not only ill-advised, but also illegal. And I can imagine how frustrating it must be for a majority of membership to hold a position that was at odds with a majority of the board. I will say, I got onto this board. You guys voted for me, and you did it to tell me to exercise my best judgment when I got here, and that is what I did. It's what I have done. It's what I will continue to do. You didn't elect me to lecture you about what's in your best health interests. You didn't elect me to follow you off a cliff. You didn't elect me to ignore your counsel. and you didn't elect me to bow to threats of criminal liability or things along those lines. It would have been so politically expedient, even 2 weeks ago, for any one of us to side with the hybrid conference over what our conscience was telling us was the right thing to do. I came into today's meeting listening and hearing, and I struggled to ignore those elements that we've described as bullying. It pains me to think that this, the way you communicated to us is going to be rewarded. To me, the issue at hand, how you change people's minds, you do it by presenting facts. You do it by laying out arguments. You do it by showing what the evidence is. Some of the financial questions I had frankly misunderstood before, and some of them we shed some light on. I think there are still questions that need to be answered. We will continue to look into them, and we will continue to answer those questions. But board members, we face these tough decisions, and we need to be able to exercise our duties with feedback that's fair, constructive, and professional. So I do hope that as we continue forward, both as a board and as a membership, that we all accept responsibility for the tone that we set. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. Claire.
I want to start by just telling the membership that serving on this board is an honor and a privilege, and it's a responsibility I have taken seriously since September and will continue to do so. This issue over hybrid versus virtual has been all-consuming for me, especially in the last 2 weeks. I have carefully read every reaction, every opinion. I appreciate everybody speaking up about it. It's been informative, and we have spent as a board, I believe, a collective 7 or 8 hours with 2 meetings hashing it out. And for me, it's been about gathering more details and information, because for me, it's about the financial aspects of both platforms. Because even though we've been hearing about the penalty for one platform, there are also a lot of costs associated with the other platform, especially because it's a new platform. So today we spent a lot of time getting more information, but there are still unknowns and variables. So I'm taking that into consideration as I vote today. I am on the convention planning committee. That's another privilege. And no matter which way we go, I can tell you, I can assure you that it will be a great convention, and we have the staff support for that. And we have a lot of great programming in store. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. Bailyn.
Thank you, Matt. I wanted to say that I've been on more than 24 boards, and what has so impressed me about this SPJ National Board has just been the thoughtfulness and the thoroughness of the deliberations that we've been having together. I think however people vote today and however the final vote comes out, that the right choice for any board member, the right vote, is always to listen and then to really just vote our conscience for the good of the organization. I also feel like I need to express disappointment in some of the communications that this board received over the past 2 weeks from some board members. And moving forward, I am really looking forward to having a fabulous conference in whatever format that conference ends up being in. And I'm also looking forward to having members communicate with their board in ways that better reflect the true values of the Society of Professional Journalists. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailyn.
You're frozen. Who did you call?
Yeah, we lost you, Matt.
Next would be that Walker
Yeah,
alphabetically.
I figured as much. Matt, are you back with us?
No.
No. Okay. He needs to reboot. Yeah. Okay. Well, I would just like to say that I would like to thank my fellow board members for a very, very inspiring discussion. And I say inspiring because it is clear that we all love this organization, love our members, have the importance of our membership at heart. And so we listen, and I just wanted to really point that out. As the vote goes today, I agree that we will have a fantastic conference, however it is presented, and that both the board and the membership should trust the staff, and I know we do, trust the staff to pull off a wonderful conference in whatever form it takes place. I fully trust that that will happen, and also that this board will stand on whatever vote is decided today, and will support it, and will go forward in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. Sorry if I froze there. Yvette Davila Richards.
Hi, can you see me? Okay, no, the reason why I asked is because my computer blanked out for a minute and I was low-key panicking trying to re-log in. Yeah, today we've deliberated intently with conviction, looking at all the data and information that's been given to us. I appreciate the information. I appreciate the discussion. And to reiterate what everyone else has said, whatever decision comes out of today's meeting moving forward, we're excited to have a conference, regardless if it's hybrid or virtual. We're excited to have a conference. We want our students to get involved. We want the membership to get involved. We want everyone to be able to have a cohesive conference where we can talk about things we learned from the professional development that we obtained, from the speakers that we heard, whoever we may meet. But know that at the expense of wanting the conference to go one way or the other, letting your voice be heard, though critical, needs to be very careful as to how that message is sent. I know many have mentioned it before, but I have to say, because I received it, the bullying, it's not going to work. Doesn't make you change the decision that much quicker. I'm not sure why some members believe being so vocal in a mean way will make the reaction come the way they want it to be. And it's not called for. And half the time it doesn't even work that way. So I just want to let the membership know that we're here, we're volunteers, we were elected by you to serve the better good of all of our members, but we don't need to take any of the bullying, any of the vitriol that we received from a few that then went to others just because you're not liking what you're hearing. Because at the end of the day, you also wanted facts, right? You also want information, which we didn't have. And that's why we've been getting in pieces. And so that's what we've been giving out. And then also, legal wise, there's some information that we couldn't give out. So we're informing you, the members, based on what we know. But, and again, we have our fiduciary duty to make sure that financially we make the right decision, but we also have the duty to make sure we make a decision for the better of our members. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And just know moving forward, we all here to work together. No one's here to be against anyone else. So please think about how, the way life is right now, we need to be more cohesive, and however mean you want to be, however bullying you want to be, that's not going to fly. We face that in our jobs, the majority of us. We shouldn't have to face that on a volunteer basis when we're working to make things better for not only ourselves, but our members. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. Rebecca.
Hi, SPJ members. First of all, I'm honored to be on the board. So I thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. I also want to thank everyone who wrote an email to the board, shared your opinions on the topic of hybrid versus the virtual. I read each email carefully. I didn't respond because I wanted to be on the record right here, because this is archived, this is video. So in the future, 10 years from now, people will see where I stood. I took into consideration everything you shared. So thank you for being informative and being polite. We're an organization of journalists, journalism educators and students who believe in free speech, but it should never include threats and intimidation tactics. I don't appreciate that. I've had it in newsrooms. I've had it in my life. I don't appreciate that some SPJ members threaten some board members with civil lawsuits, criminal charges, and even to report us to the Attorney General of Indiana. And then there was the SPJ member who said we should recall the board members who were for the virtual convention. Wow, another threat. As a working journalist and a journalism educator, I want you to know where I'm coming from on my decision. I thought of everything you said. I don't take this decision lightly. There's still a lot of unanswered questions out there about the cost, about who will go there. I am following the science, the daily developments of the pandemic, the vaccines, the anti-vaxxers. You guys have read about it. I mean, especially those people who are working on the story. But whatever decision we make today, I hope the people who try to bully us don't think that the decision was made because you won in that area. The decision was made because all your board members took everything seriously, no matter what side they stood on, because we respected the people who were civil and professional and very informative with the way they relayed their information, whether it was for a virtual or a hybrid. It was not because bullyism won or scare tactics. I wouldn't be here today if I let myself fall for that. I never will. So I will say this, whatever decision we make, I'm the head of the convention programming committee, so we're excited. The committee, it's going to be amazing. We have some great panels. We, just want to let you know, NBC has decided to join us for the first time in the history of SPJ. For us, NBC is going to work with us. We got a lot of great stuff coming. So no matter what we decide today, no matter how I vote, respect me for my decision. Respect the board members for what they decided in, because we put a lot of energy in this. I have lost a lot of sleep. And as I just shared with the board, I got my shot on the 28th, my second one, and I was sick as a dog on the 29th, which happened to be my 63rd birthday. But I'm here because SPJ matters to me. Because I could be over at NHJ or any other organization, but SPJ matters to me. So again, thank you, members who have supported me, who have respected me, who have treated me with respect, and all the other board members. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'll close with some remarks and then we'll go to a vote. This has been the most difficult, most emotional decision I and other board members have faced. It was agonizing, leaving us with sleepless nights and some of us feeling personally attacked. We all have the organization's best interests at heart, all of us. For anyone to threaten any board member with legal threats, recall threats, or just this morning, a financial threat is inappropriate, unacceptable, and a form of bullying that I will not stand for in my final 4 months as president of this organization that we all love. So this vote today is not about letting bullies win. It's about us making the best decision in spite of bullying. This vote is about inclusion, communication, diplomacy, and understanding. That's what this vote is about. Here's what I mean by that. Right now, we have health and government officials saying we can accomplish the in-person component of a hybrid convention safely. The CDC says fully vaccinated people can travel safely within the US. Louisiana is allowing indoor gatherings of hundreds of socially distanced people. Emerging research suggests vaccines cut transmission to some extent. We have our lawyers saying we have greater liability protections than we've had for any other convention. We have enough members telling us they want to go to cover our contractual obligations. We have members this week, the overwhelming majority of the many who weighed in, saying they'd prefer SPJ have a hybrid convention and give people the ability to choose whether to travel to New Orleans. We have the health situation in New Orleans improving and the situation in the country improving. 55% of American adults have 1 dose and 39% are fully vaccinated. In Louisiana, it's even better. 47% of adults are fully vaccinated. And the convention is not for another 4 months. 4 months ago, no one in this country was vaccinated. Given all that, I personally don't think it would be prudent to risk a cancellation penalty and jeopardize the financial health of an organization that has worked so hard for so long to pull itself out of it. I completely understand every board member's personal decision on this. And I just want to let you know, every board member, bar none, has taken this seriously, has lived up to their fiduciary duty, has lived up to their moral, ethical, journalistic duty. You should be proud of this board. You should be proud of this board and the vote that all of its members, all 9 of us, take today. I said 2 weeks ago, this was the most difficult decision I faced in 7 years on this board.
Matt, you're freezing again.
Yeah, you're freezing.
John, are you in touch with him? Can you let him know?
Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had to relog in because it booted me out. So maybe that's what he's trying to do.
I don't know what's happened with my computer.
All right, we're gonna try Matt on my speakerphone. Go ahead, Matt, see if they can hear you.
In closing, we
Want to give everyone
choice and plan for a convention and empower our staff to have virtual panels with an in-person component for those who want to gather. My last point, I believe that we all can work to plan an inclusive and innovative hybrid convention and make it our best yet. It's going to require all of us doing it together. So let's do that. We're one organization. Let's act like it. Thank you.
Matt, you're back, by the way.
Hey, Matt, try to see if you can.
I'm going to try to get through this before I crack out again.
Yeah, that's better.
And I really apologize for my internet. This is a Zoom life. With that, I will call for the vote.
Roll call vote.
Please.
Okay. Roll call starts now. Yvette Walker,
Hybrid.
So it's a yes
Bailing,
or no.
Oh, and so this is for hybrid, yes.
Bailing Shaw,
Voting yes.
Claire Regan,
No.
Lauren Bartlett.
Yes.
You kind of faded there, but I heard the ending.
Yes.
Got it. Thanks. Jerry McCormick,
No.
Rebecca Aguilar,
No.
Yvette Davila Richards. I vote no. Rafael Almeida
Yes.
and Matt Hall.
Yes.
1, 2, 4, 2, 5. So that's 5 yes, 4 no. So the vote stands on a hybrid conference.
I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And again, I really do mean that. We're one group. Let's pull off the best convention yet. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Lauren.
I second.
Second by Yvette Davila Richard, or Yvette Walker beat you to it, Yvette.
I raised my hand, but it's okay. It's okay. Yvette got it. Yvette got it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you all. Please enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.